looky here, if you're in the middle of your Japanning, here's a few things you need to know before and when you get to Japan. Let's first talk about logistics prior to leaving for your trip. Make sure your passport is up to date. If you're just going to Japan only, you just need your passport to be valid during the length of your stay. But if you have a special circumstance that requires a visa or a longer stay, just make sure you do the proper research for your situation. Sometimes if you're visiting Japan plus another country, you may need to make sure that your passport is good for at least 6 months. You may also want to look into making sure you have enough pages in your passport depending on the country you're returning back to as well. Next is immigration. If you're wanting to save yourself some time during the immigration line, then you're going to want to do something called Visit Japan Web. Now, if you don't do this, you can still do immigration when you get to Japan, but you just have to make sure you have a pen and then you have to fill out the immigration paper. But the way how to do it is a few days before you leave, make sure you go to Visit Japan Web, and I'll be sure to link that below. If you're traveling with your family, only one entry is needed, and then you can add your family members to the entry. You're going to get a QR code, one per person. And once you finish filling out all the information, just make sure you take a screenshot of your QR code, and then when you get to the airport, you can show the immigration people the QR code. When I do the Visit Japan Web at home, I like it because I can just copy a lot of my information from the last trip into this trip, so it does save me some time. So if you want to just save yourself some stress, I highly recommend just doing the Visit Japan Web before you go. The next thing to keep in mind is making sure you're not bringing anything illegal. So this includes banned medications. So if you're trying to bring something like NyQuil or Dayquil, don't bring that because you can get in trouble. I'll also link below the medication list, so just make sure you're not doing anything that will get you in trouble. The next thing I like to do before going to Japan is just making sure I print out my hotel information, because a lot of times you can print out the hotel information in Japanese. So if you're taking a taxi, it makes it really easy for them to navigate when you show them that address in Japanese. Also, if you're going to a hotel in the countryside, it's also nice to have things printed out in Japanese. The next thing you want to make sure is that all your apps are downloaded. So these are a few of my favorite apps right here. So I have my wallet app, I have WhatsApp. WhatsApp is really nice because when you're in Japan, you can just text people through WhatsApp. Then I also like to have Google Maps and then Google Translate, and also Papago, which is another translation app. I also have my airline app as well as another app called Go. This is for taxis when you're in Japan. And then one of my favorite apps is actually called Klook, who is a sponsor of this video. If you don't know what Klook is, it's an activities-based app for traveling. I've been using Klook every single time I go to Japan because it's in English and it's super easy. I get my Shinkansen tickets through Klook, my MePig tickets, Shibuya Sky tickets, Teamland Planets, and Tokyo Disney tickets. I also love that all my QR codes are in one place, but my favorite thing about Klook is that I don't get charged international transaction fees, which is really nice. Booking through Klook is super easy. You can buy your tickets on a computer, but I prefer to use the app. Let me show you how to use Klook. First, download the Klook app, then create an account. Then you can pick your own currency and language in the settings, search for your activity, then look up the dates and prices here, purchase your tickets, then find the instructions and QR code in your bookings, and once you get to the entrance, you can just scan the QR code. And then right now, Klook is actually doing their Cherry Blossom campaign, which is offering up to 50% off tours and activities through Japan, Korea, and Taiwan from March 1st to March 31st. But if you do miss the sale, just sign up for Klook emails because there's discounts and promos all the time. Klook is definitely worth checking out, so make sure you click that link in the video description below to start your Japanning. So the next thing you may want to do before leaving for your trip is making sure you have some Japanese yen, if you want to, before getting to Japan. Before I go to Japan, I just make sure I have a little bit of money, but I'll also show you how to get money in Japan once you get there. But if you're wanting some peace of mind, you can get it from your bank. So if you don't know what to do, I recommend just walking into your bank and asking what the process is. Be sure to leave a couple weeks for the cash to arrive because most of the time your bank needs some time to order it. But I'll cover more cash tips later on in this video. The next thing is regarding an eSIM. So there's a few ways you can stay connected to the interwebs when you're in Japan. You can get an international phone plan, you can get a pocket Wi-Fi, or you can get an eSIM. So if you're going to do an eSIM, you want to make sure you have strong Wi-Fi to download everything you need and the instructions, because that's how you get started. In the video description below, I also linked my favorite eSIM, and this worked all over Japan. Alright, let's talk about what to do once you arrive in Japan. Also, by the way, arrival time does matter when you get to the airport, and if you want to know more about that, be sure to download my free beginner's guide to Japan. That's going to be in the pinned comment or in the video description notes below, but that's going to also give you some more tips regarding this matter. So once you arrive in Japan, the first thing that you're going to do is go through immigration. Now, if you do that Visit Japan Web QR code, that's what you're going to be bringing to the people when you get to the front of the line. And if you didn't do the Visit Japan Web QR code thing, then you're going to have to fill out the immigration paper when you're in Japan. When you're doing the immigration, they'll usually do your fingerprints, they'll get a picture of you, and then they're also going to take a look at your passport and that QR code. And then once you finish that, you're going to head down to baggage claim if you have a checked luggage. And then after that, you're going to go over to the customs line. In the customs line, you're going to also also show the QR code as well as your passport, and then you're gonna walk out into the ground level of the airport. So once you leave customs, this is where you can go to the bathroom, you can get a snack, you can also get a pocket Wi-Fi if you want. And then also when it comes to pocket Wi-Fi's, there's a way to drop it off. Usually they're gonna give you a mailer or they'll tell you where to drop it off at another airport. And then you can also do luggage delivery if you want. Now keep in mind when it comes to luggage delivery, it can take 1 to 2 days for your luggage to arrive in the destination that you want to be at. So that's just something to keep in mind if your trip's not very long. The next thing you can do is go to an ATM to get your cash. So for me, I love using 7-Bank ATM. This is one of the best places to get money because the exchange rates are really good and they're very transparent about how much they're taking out. You can find 7-Bank ATMs at the airport. You can also find it at 7-Elevens. This is just a place I've been getting my cash for the last few trips. The other thing you can do while you're in the ground level is get your bus ticket if you're taking the bus. I like taking the airport limousine bus, and then for reference, it's around $9 USD from Haneda Airport to Shinjuku, Tokyo, and then $24 from Narita to Shinjuku. On the ground floor, you can also get a taxi if you need it, but it is more expensive if you're going long distances. For reference, it's about $170 to $200 one way if you're going to be taking a taxi from Narita to Tokyo. So just keep that in mind or try to split the cost. On the ground floor, you can also go to the car rental areas, but make sure you're booking those cars in advance because they can sell out during busy seasons. And then also, when in doubt, there's the information booth, and it's really great because they speak English. At the information booth, it's really nice because you can ask them where to find something in the airport. You can also ask them what the best route is from the airport to your city as well. So this is everything you can find on the ground level, but let's go ahead and go downstairs. So when you're downstairs, you can get an IC card, which is like e-money, and that also works like a transit card. So there's a few different options because there's a shortage right now. So if you're a tourist, you can actually get something called a Welcome Suica card, and that lasts about 28 days. So just make sure you spend all the money on that card. Just load it up with what you need, and then just make sure there's no money left over because you can't get that refunded. When it comes to the Welcome Suica, you can also get this at the JR East Travel Service Center, or what I've seen more recently is the Welcome Suica kiosk, so then you can just get what you need there. What you can also do is go to the JR East Travel Service Center to see if they have the 10-year version of an IC card. If you land in Tokyo, it's going to be called a Suica card. If you land in Osaka, you can also get yourself an Ikoka card, which works just like a Welcome Suica or a regular Suica card. In the downstairs part of the airport, you can also make sure you charge your IC cards, which could be the Suica card, the Ikoka card, or the Welcome Suica card. If you are planning on getting a Japan Rail Pass, then while you're there at the JR East Travel Service Center, you can make sure you get that there. You can also get your tickets if you're taking an express train or a local train to the major train station of the area you're staying at. Just make sure you get a reserved seat as sometimes the train can decouple, so that's going to be something you want to keep in mind. Once you got your train ticket, make sure you go downstairs and then that's where you can board your train. And then for me, once I arrive at the major train station, I either like to walk or take a taxi to my hotel. So if you're traveling to Japan and you want more extensive Japan tips, I'm going to link that video right here.